Welcome back, everyone. Our final game of the evening is upon us. OMG are taking on WE in Chengdu, and WE finally finding a win after so long. They finally got some wind under their sails. Now they just need to do it one more time to close out this series and take their first match win of the summer split. It's been too long for this team, but let's actually get into what's going to happen coming into this next matchup. We've got no subs. We've got OMG on the blue side. So again, both teams prioritizing that red side, looking for that counter pick as is standard in patch 8.11. But let's get into it. WE, in the previous game, Game 2, when they took the win, it looked like they had better jungle control with their mid-jungle duo. Whereas in Game 1, it was about that mid-jungle duo. The exact same thing. Icon and Jekko were able to invade Snowball bottom lane and get some early kills. In Game 2, it was the other WE's mid-jungle that invaded, got early first kills in Snowball bottom lane.
Yeah, I think W are slowly finding their pacing with playing around Pepper. If you look at this draft in Game 2, what they did was they overloaded every single lane with kill threat. Basically, everywhere Pepper went, he was able to push laners out of their lane or create such an immense pressure where it instantly transferred into CS advantages. And you could see that throughout the entire game. Once that bot lane, the first Fiddlesticks messed up at level 1, was forced back onto the kill lane, Pepper was instantly able to punish that and also punish the jungle as well. And on the flip side, I think this is something that we've seen from OMG quite a lot. Jekko, World 6, a lot of times if their first step doesn't work, they fall really far behind. They're not junglers that are great at actually recovering into their jungle. And I think that's the reason we saw that game snowball so heavily in WE's side. It's about creating dynamic kill threat all over the map and playing around Pepper's strength as a very aggressive jungler that has made them so successful in that game.
Yeah, and I think this is why we see OMG so often default to their regular strategy, because if it's the jungler not able to snowball with an early few kills, then who else is going to initiate? With 5's Tom Kench being taken away, with Chelly on that Lucian on the opposite side, you have to look to Icon, but he was on the rise. He couldn't exactly make flashy plays until that late game teleport to try and turn things around. That being said, that late game teleport play did yield 957's 500th kill in the LPL. So a bit of celebration to 957 to show that he's still performing well. Here's that whole thing once again, but 957 stepped up huge in this game too.
And I love it when 957 just goes for one of these strong bruiser champions. He's known for the Kled, has a great Gnar as well, and he's been doing really well when he isn't just a pressure punching back into the top lane. This guy has the mechanics, he has the skills to really pop off, but a lot of times he does sacrifice himself for W. He is the premier blue-collar top laner, basically, in the LPL. If you watch the spring split, in the teaser, he was basically saying, W, this team needs a sacrifice. And he takes away from his own laning phase, and a lot of times when those teleports don't work and the rest of the map isn't playing well, you see him go down as well. But against someone like Xiang, someone who's mainly just plays tanks all along, I feel like he can really exploit that. And congratulations on your 500 kills. I felt like you did a tremendous job going on a different route, in a route that is successful.
Of course, the follow-up to that is how the jungle affects that top lane. We're not seeing any subs. Once again, it's Pepper and Jekko, neither of what we presume to be the primary junglers for this team when you've got Mountain and Condi, two massive names. Well, just in games played. But how that jungle interacts with the top lane. And for this, I actually want to talk a bit about the Taliyah mid for WE in that previous game and what it did to unlock that Olaf.
So we are seeing a lot of new Taliyahs going mid lane now, and this goes to the general philosophy of the draft as well. In week 1, we saw people picking mid laners in blue side, and red side actually had 70% win rate. So the things have kind of changed, where we're now seeing more of jungle flexes being the first pick, and that has actually swung very heavily into blue side's favor in the current patch. And Taliyah kind of fits that role. She's a jungle flex pick that can also go mid lane. So she creates a lot of like pressure in terms of like the first round of draft. And to touch back to like why she's good mid lane now is that she is a bit different. Her threaded volley no longer deals AoE damage, but the subsequent shots from her volley now do 60% of the first shot's damage rather than 40. So it's a 50% increase overall, and what that means is if you find someone, you catch someone, you actually blow them up extremely fast. So this is a pick where you want to kind of retool your thinking and think about, can you unlock the Taliyah from the mid lane? If you can do that and have her moving in skirmishes, she's actually an incredibly powerful champion, and we're seeing that over and over again in the LCK, in the LPL as well. Freeing Taliyah, using her as a flex pick, and you know, just impacting the entire map.
Those fans looking a little split there. One holding the Xie sign, the other holding the Icon sign. The heart broken into the middle. Ooh. I hate to break it to you, but one of those two players is going to walk away with a loss at the end of this day.
I feel like Icon's more of the heartbreaker. Have you seen his smile in that teaser?
Yeah. Like, well, he's got the new tattoo, Forever Young, so maybe, I don't know. But now we're looking into this next round of drafts, and we've got to see how these teams adapt coming into this. WE in their game one banned away Taliyah first rotation. They gave no chance for OMG to take it. And then in game two, they first picked it blue side for themselves. Now WE find themselves on that red side. Are there other champions that WE could utilize to unlock Xie if he gets support from Pepper?
So WE picking up red side, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're seeing is that I feel like this matchup has come down mainly to jungle picks. So I think if you're thinking about the available jungle picks, Graves is a big one that we haven't really seen. And if you think about the players, Jieko and Pepper, they're both known for either snowballing really heavily off of their early game or falling really far behind. They're both very aggressive people, and it just like it just matters like which foot you get yourself rolling on. So I would actually want to see a counter pick for the jungler from WE. I think that secures him a lot of power in terms of the mid lane matchup, and it could snowball Jieko in the wrong direction as well.
Oh, we'll have to see if that's going to be the case as we prepare for this one. Now, Clement, I gotta know, who do you take in this matchup? WE, they've not had a single match win. They've got Pepper. We finally got Mystic back on the roster, but now Missing is filling in support for support. Or do you take OMG on the other side, going back to Jieko?
I think Mystic has been great, and if you've seen Missing in action, then I think he's been good as well. So I'm going to go with WE. I think they're finding their final form. They're going back to their core, and they're working Pepper into the mix as well.
All right, well, we'll have to see if WE can do it. It's now time for our casters to get us into this final game between WE and OMG.
过去的荣光就留在记忆中 ，WE 要追逐新的胜利。
Thank you, Dom. We are about to get into that final game. OMG taking on Team WE, and that was the big question for us as well. What do WE have in store? What are they going to change, especially after the 0-3 loss they've had so far? And they've had some adaptations in game number 2, but for the side of OMG, this is the first time that Jieko is not going to be taken out after a loss. He played 2 games. On the second game where he did lose, Mountain jumped back in. This is a good chance for him to get a big change of opinion on what we think of Jieko.
Yeah, absolutely. And for what it's worth, you know, we came out of that second game and we were like, he's not the problem. Jieko was never the problem in that game. You could tell that they were snowballing. I like what Clement mentioned as well. Both junglers tend to hit each other once. Whoever gets the lead keeps it going. The other one's like, oh my god, I don't know what to do, because they're not very good with the deficit. So, and that's also a byproduct of the teams, I will say as well. But no Mountain to be seen. I like this from OMG. I actually like the confidence they're placing in Jieko. I like that they're trusting him to continue to be good, because he was.
Yeah, he was definitely really good. Game number 1, he was more facilitator when he picked up the Camille. Game number 2 looked good on the Sinjar. Almost single-handedly stopped the dive in the bottom. Then he was able to catch out Sia, went for a level 7 against a level 10 skirmish. Was able to get that solo kill, but unfortunately wasn't able to do too much. The snowball was too strong for Team WE. Now what do OMG decide to do? Because they're also not well known as an early game based team. I mean, the misplays that they had the first few levels kind of showed that in game number 2.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I'm really curious about coming into this draft. We've already got the answer to one of them, but there are actually questions I had for Team WE. They're on the red side. The question is, what do they ban? Taliyah is something that they picked, but they should be afraid of their opponents picking that now they're on red side and they don't get that first pick. But they also were banning things that beat them in the second game. The Camille, the Tahm Kench, and the Zoe were the 3 bans of choice, and Zoe seems to be the one staple for them. That leaves open the Tahm Kench potentially for their opponents in OMG. And if you leave open the Tahm Kench, you leave open AD carries.
I mean, unless he is willing to play LeBlanc into it, should be a Zoe banned here. Not OMG, they're going to snatch it up right away. There's no way Icon's going to turn that down. They're taking their time with their final ban, but it's Irelia. Zoe is available. OMG could pick it up. Their bans were Aatrox, Swain, as well as Nocturne. They want to see what else Mystic has up his sleeve after that first match on Swain.
And see, I don't mind this, actually, from WE. I know that Zoe should be the staple ban. There's a chance that OMG go towards that, but if I was she, I'd be happy to throw the gauntlet, pick something into it, and have a good time. You may get the Tahm Kench for yourself. And you can see already.
But
things changing.
It's not going to be the Zoe. It's going to be Kaiser that gets locked in straight away. Charlie will get his hands on a hyper carry.
Yeah, the Kaiser secured. Now we've seen Kaiser in we've seen it in mid lane, we've seen it in jungle.
Stop.
We've seen it in bottom lane.
No.
So it is an AD carry that can go anywhere, and it's not a bad first pick for yourself. WE maybe denying a bit of the comp here.
Yeah, taking away a few of the crucial supports that help buff up Kaiser, especially in the late game. We saw Snake run a force support, basically, composition to protect SOFM. SOFM had a mixed review of his performance in that match. We'll have to see where this Kaiser actually goes for OMG and what WE decide to pick up. As we mentioned, Zoe is still available, still can be picked by either team, but double support being locked in for Team WE nice and early. We have a Lulu as well as a Tahm Kench.
It's a denial. They picked the Tahm Kench to prevent OMG from getting it. They banned it in the second game. They did not want 5 to have the pick. And he looked completely disheveled as far as support's going in game number 2. 5 was inting everywhere on the fiddlesticks to the pressure that was being exerted against him down there from a Swain and a Shen. Now, they don't get the Swain and Shen WE. They've picked themselves up the Tahm Kench already, so the dynamic completely shifts.
Does this force not only Sia into a Lulu pick, but also now Mystic? He should be forced into playing a hyper carry, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it makes you wonder what hyper carry he would be playing if that is the decision that they choose to go towards. With the Tahm Kench, I wouldn't say it forces you, but it does prompt it. It promotes that being a more viable opportunity.
But OMG is still going to be able to pick up a few pieces of the puzzle. On, as well as Morgana. They get locked in for OMG. So we have to see where these champions are going to go. But when you see the Lulu, when you see the Tahm Kench, reminds you quite a bit of that Ashe pick that we saw from OMG. Charlie had a 51% damage share on the champion in game number 1 against Team WE. They've been hovering a couple of 80 carry picks.
This would be pretty nice. This is the Xayah, actually, I think. I would be avoiding the Ashe simply because now there is a Morgana on the opposing side. So I think that was why OMG looked towards the Morgana as the support of choice. They revealed their bottom lane. And now we do get that Ezreal.
Signature pick for Mystic in the bottom lane. Ezreal gets locked in. Someone called Jake Spawnterberry, wake him up. He's probably at home asleep. We need to know if Mystic is still allowed to play this champion after this match, but Zoe's the first ban that WE take away.
Sorry, Spawn has left us. He's an Oceanic man now, so
did Spawn leave us? So did we leave Spawn? I mean, he's still back in Australia.
I abstain from comment. My point remains. We
Pleading
will
the
make
fifth?
our own list.
Pleading the fifth. Well, we'll then decide if Mystic is allowed back on the You're Allowed to Play Ezreal book. But still waiting to see what the final draft phase, final ban phase from these two teams are going to be. Mundo taken away by OMG. Ryze is going to be the ban from WE. Targeting Icon again. I mean, that's 4 champions being thrown at him.
Yeah, Zoe and Ryze removed, and you have to assume, of course, that the Lulu will be going mid lane. So OMG, they could pick the Karma if they wanted to pick that one away from their opponents, get all of the carries towards the Kaiser. But at the same time, Shen is that next champion that we have to look at. The WE do the RNG, so to speak, and just go all in on their AD carry, pick the Shen, deny it from the Kaiser, and just say, we can pick more carries than you can. Or we can pick more shields and protection than you possibly can anyway, and just outskill them. Doesn't seem like that's their #1 priority.
It doesn't feel like the best thing to do, stack up shields and protection on an Ezreal. Good carry. Plays really well. Didn't get affected too much by the current patch, but not one you really want to be bumping up for the empowered auto attacks later in the match, or giving him the nice big shields. But they show that right away. Olaf gets locked in the jungle for Pepper.
Yeah, I wouldn't be picking the Sejuani against the TK and an Olaf so willingly, so let's hope that resumes as a hover and doesn't get locked. Thankfully, of course it won't be.
Trundle gets locked in the jungle for FLICKR. I mean, tank-based champion, but still, by all means, they support. Subjugate will get rid of some of the resistances from the front line of WE, and he normally picks up the likes of a Locket.
Oh, and this is what we want to see. Give us the LeBlanc or the Talon. Go in, Icon. Get the Assassin.
Does he do it, though? Is he going to throw the gauntlet? Nope, goes straight back towards the Cassiopeia. The champion he did have the highlight play on. I hate that these players keep flashing over at the last second to try and trick us.
We all want to see Icon play Assassins. And look, for what it's worth, the Cassiopeia was outstanding from him. We do get that one. And no surprises for WE's composition. You mentioned maybe they don't want to put all their eggs into a single champion's basket. Well, the Olaf is there now to compensate for the early game. Get that Black Cleave, you know, run rampant with a Shen on your back as you get into the back line. Diversifies their strategy.
And that is a champion that is scary to watch with all the shielding that WE have at the moment. OMG round out their roster as well. On in the top lane, Cassiopeia heading into the mid lane. things have been switched up by both teams.
Yeah, you have to say, overall, with the draft, this is a very standard game of League of Legends that we're about to see.
We did it!
AD carries, supports, tanks in the top lane, and mid laners just being mid laners. One more supportive than the other. Lulu still exists.
I feel like you've jinxed it now, though. Game 1 was 20 minutes of nothing.
Well, I never said we're going to have 20 minutes of nothing. We have potential kill threat everywhere. There's always a chance that people get super aggressive, and a lot of the game is about scaling, I will say, particularly from Team WE. You know, having the Shen Lulu, keeping the Ezreal alive. Ezreal at the 2 items is massive, 3 items is bonkers as well, especially once that tier starts stacking.
Comfort for Team WE almost. What do we expect from OMG? Do they want to scale as well with the Kai'Sa? Are both teams going to sit back and scale again, Rusty?
And that's definitely a possibility. Absolutely, Fish. The Cassiopeia is going to be the second source of damage, though. Their single target to objectives is insane. If they get the opportunity to get entrance to the Baron pit at all between both carries, they should be able to lock that one down. No problems whatsoever.
I mean, we get Rage Blade, AP plasma damage, and Cassiopeia as well, but a lot of AP damage coming out from the side of OMG. Could be double-edged sword for them going into this match.
Yeah, that's always going to open the floor to, you know, what does Chelly build on his Kai'Sa? Does he go towards the AD, which seems to be nowhere near as strong as the AP alternatives currently? Of course, the Quincy's Rage Blade is always going to be a staple. It's past that you start to explore his item choices. But for OMG, with the Morgana to empower Chelly, still got backline access, still got the capabilities of getting those kills. Really, I think you just kill Pepper and work your way from front to back.
Standout performance in game number 1 for Chelly. Mystic jumps in for number 2, gives him a little bit of a rest, and sends us to game 3, where both these carries are going to go off head-to-head. OMG against Team WE, game number 3.
Dab.
What?
Is it emote? They've players emote now at the start of the game, and because of the panning, you can see a giant emote from certain angles, and that was just a giant dabbing penguin on our screen.
Oh no.
It's quite funny.
Please let me know if you identified which player that is. No, no idea. Whoever he is, he's barred. No dabbing in this match, please. You get to check in with some of the keystones that are picked up by these players. There's always Kleptomancy being locked in for Mystic, Predator for the Olaf.
Yeah,
but press the attack for Kai'Sa in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Kai'Sa's not going to go towards anything other than just press the attack right now for the laning phase. There's an AD carry and a standard lane as well. Fleet footwork's completely obsolete through most AD carries. WE. They want to find the bottom lane, but they're in lane already, so an unfortunate attempt at a cheeky strategy does not pay off for them.
Yeah, a little bit of poke they were looking for, it seemed. Put down the ward nice and early, in range for the tongue lash, as well as Mystic shot.
Yeah, so the place that you actually have to look at is not something that you would ever expect to say. It's top lane. Level 1 and level 2, usually up until the 6 point, Shen controls the Ornn. Usually can win with just the taunt, grass procs, push him in, which is rare to see against an Ornn. So that's going to be nice control, nice tempo for the top side of the map. Pepper may be able to utilize that after his recall. Of course, he's working top to bottom. He's coming down to the bottom lane.
Let's see if that breaks the match open for either of these two teams, but lots of trading in the bottom lane already. Mystic missing a couple of spells there, means that Chelly can step forward. Has the Doran's ring available, so Plasma as well as W getting a little bit of extra damage. Zerko just went straight from his red buff all the way over to blue. It's not going to grant him level 3, but takes it for himself.
Pepper's pretty aware of this though. He's over at the Raptors, so he's going to secure that one. Icon having a real bad time. Real bad.
No teleport either. Icon's going to be forced to walk straight back into lane. Pepper's going to use this time to take away as much of Jericho's jungle as possible. Waiting for the minions to get away from that little gap, but Pepper decides he's not going to risk it with Krugs.
That's actually incredibly bad for Icon through mid lane. Not only is he forced to recall at level 2 at 12 CS, he doesn't even have enough for a mana crystal. He just loses lane in levels now to Xie. It's 2 level difference, and he'll catch up. But that's if Xie lets him have control of that lane at all to get the farm. He'll get experience, that's about it.
Well, with Shen pushing in and now Xie actually turning the tides of that matchup despite exhaust being picked up by Cassiopeia. He's able to get the better recall. Not too much of an item advantage though, just an extra control ward.
No.
In the back pocket of Sia.
But the advantage that he has is that he has teleport still.
Yes.
So he can walk back to lane, forcing that recall out, and now utilize the teleport after another trade in mid if he chooses.
So 2 pushing lanes available for Team WE at the moment. Bottom lane is pushing in favor of OMG and looks fairly strong. Tieko trying to mirror Pepper at the moment. Goes for a bit of a duel. Gets pressed the attack. Pepper forced to flash away. Tieko's just going to follow it. Jump, jump, jump! Clubs him to death as well. First blood picked up by Tieko.
OMG's jungler, night and day between the games here, finds Pepper, takes him down. No response available from WE. That's the difference made here. Bottom lane has control in the 2v2.
Always,
because it has control, he's able to invade.
Always nice to add a little bit of seasoning to the camps that you have in the opposite side of the jungle. Tieko stepping up and now looking to try and make an impact in the mid lane. Sia does get knocked back, but only gets a slow onto Trundle. Should be able to return to lane just fine, but tempo does swing heavily in favor of OMG, it seems. Pepper now being hunted by this Trundle.
Yeah, the effects trickling over here from Jekko, even just looking mid lane, buying time for Icon. Time is absolutely what he needs. Sooner or later, he'll have enough money to get the tier. You can see the trades start to turn around just that little bit more.
Yep, Icon still not afraid to trade against Sia despite being a level behind. Finally get to look at that top lane matchup. 957 had a great game too. Doing well in that top lane matchup for now. Has a larger CS lead. But Ornn is slowly starting to pick up items through his passive, keeping him quite nicely topped up in this lane and doing well against the Shen now.
Yeah, it tends to be for the Shen that he can actually expend a lot more of the Ornn's mana, which is why the lanes usually go so well. Nice little spell shield from 5 there to ensure he's able to just walk it out. Calm down, 5.
Mystic gonna jump in. Does have the help of minions, and the binding connects, but missing. Able to save Mystic.
Yeah, amazingly, the binding hits the correct target in that it hits Mystic. Maybe wanted to find Missing. So it's not going to happen. No mana.
Trains him
awkward.
No mana, but Icon still chasing him down.
Has the exhaust.
Tags his nullifying orb. That rune is not available for some time, but level 6 available for Sia means nothing much Icon to do, especially as you mentioned, without the mana available. No corrupting potion charges available either, and Pepper says, these are my chickens.
And normally that's not a bad trade for Icon. You know, she has just teleported to lane. You actually get to trade health between each other. You know, that's not bad as an end result, right? However, Icon not having the teleport of his own means he's stuck. He's got no mana. He's just going to have to farm. That unlocks Xie to leave lane now and assist his jungler.
Well, what does he do? Fruit being taken away by Pepper, but Tieko as well as 5 show themselves. Pepper, despite falling to that solo kill, being picked up by Trundle. Still 14 CS ahead. And as a level advantage, as I don't think there's much to see here, Rusty. He's breathing fire. 957's a little bit of pain. Both use teleport to get back to that lane, but no one's really going to die just yet.
But he sounded the alarm. The horn was used up there, so Horn has no ultimate. And no teleport between them is an advantage to 957 regardless. As he's a Shen.
Able to heal back up, gets a bit of honey fruit in the river as well. So River Shen tops back up to full. Tiamat picked up very early for 957, means he's going to continue to have that push against Seong in the top lane. WE have the window now. Pepper's about to hit level 6. Predator is coming back off of cooldown soon. With Lulu, with Stand United available, he can find somewhere on the map to attack against OMG if he chooses to do so. Ooh.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Nice.
Even better from 5. Doesn't win the lane, but one-ups him in the coolness scale. Of course, junglers on the opposite side of the maps. They'll hit 6 at around the exact same time if they choose. But you can see the difference between the start of the pathing here. With Jekka going from red to blue immediately, his camp is going to be up first. So he goes there, prioritizes that to give it over to the mid laner, which actually does give a lot of extra tempo to the team overall, but only for a small window.
But during this window, 8 minutes into the match, it seems like WE have 3 pushing lanes. Icon, yes, fighting back against Sia at the moment as he walks over a control ward, but bottom lane has now swapped in WE's favor. Top lane still being controlled by 957. This dragon should be free for Pepper.
An unexpected dragon perhaps from OMG. They're not sure that Pepper would be here. The Ocean Dragon hurts a lot, but with timing regarding that, he can do the dragon, go over to the Gromp if he wants. Scuttlecrab even better as a choice. The amount of mana that Scuttlecrab gives back will actually top him up quite a lot. Then he can go to blue buff, leash it for his ally. So that's a massive win for the side of WE.
chance to also attack bottom lane if he wants to. Jelly is incredibly low. Teleport's not available for Kai'Sa. He'll be forced to walk back to this lane. 5 still level 5 as well. I already mentioned Stand United is available. Siang's teleport is halfway off of cooldown. W wants to try and find an attack early game. This is where to do so, but Ragnarok being burnt very early. Dieko hunts down Pepper.
And this is why you pick Trundle into Olaf. Every single time the pillar's up, the Olaf either uses the ultimate or he gets stuck. He has flash right now as well, the Olaf, naturally. But you don't want to use that summoner spell, so you trade that ult for just a pillar. That's a win for OMG's jungler. It also means that the jungler of WE can get caught out of position.
I mean,
in the next minute or so.
Late game as well, Pepper really wants to dive into the back line. It's a big threat to those carries with Ragnarok available. But the ultimate coming up from Dieko should reduce all those resistances. Shelly as well as Icon should have enough single target damage to deal with him later on, but we'll check in later.
How annoying it is to watch a blue buff Cassiopeia just litter the ground with Qs. Constantly try and poke Xie down. He's stuck at his turret. It also means that Icon is pushed. Yeah. You can see OMG fully aware of what the counterplay may be to that. 5 has gone to the unorthodox top side of mid lane to perhaps counter it.
Yeah, making sure that if WE decide to throw more members of mid lane, they could attack that. But WE have other ideas. They know that Chelly's been down here alone for some time.
Yeah.
So Pepper's here. Missing's here as well.
He needs to leave. There's a reason this is unorthodox from 5 going towards the top side of mid. If it worked, then brilliant. But because it didn't, they're losing the bottom lane turret. Pepper just has to show up.
Yep.
And they're able to get a lot of extra damage down onto that one. And the pressure continues.
I mean, the gamble doesn't pay off for OMG. They don't get anything happening in the mid lane, but Dieko's going to try and take a Rift Herald for himself. Taken out fairly low. Ultimate gets used. Ultimate also being used by Sion. They collapse. Stand United's going to come out. Sia in some trouble though. The fire is not going to be enough to burn down this mid laner. He escapes from the fight. The rest of the team's going to collapse however. Jumps in, flashes for the Rift Herald, doesn't pick it up. You need to pick up the Rift Herald, Pepper. No, that's not how that buff works.
Let the games commence. Will someone teleport to it? Will they be able to defend a W? They've got a ward in the back of the pit, and Shear's got teleport. I want to see it. I want to see the Olaf run distraction play. Bring them all over.
That eye looks scary though.
Give me something.
He wants it.
The World Cup is on and
Oh,
off the Rift.
957's on distraction play. Shadow dash away.
No.
Pepper's done it! He found it.
The crowd worked it out a second later though. Holy crap, you got it.
He found the golden snitch.
Goal for WE. But still, it's only just the Herald steal. It was nice from W actually. There's a chance that they'll be able to use that one and the turret. So again, it's a steal. It's a major objective. It's everything and more.
I mean, all the gambles that OMG tried to throw at about 10 minutes there, the crowd is just amazed by everything at this point.
But are they on a...
They're,
that was a CS.
They're watching the Twitch stream. It's about a 5-second delay there. Pretty sure they were cheering for the turret and the ultimate, Rusty.
But the cannon.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But things have gone south for OMG now. Set up for a play mid lane, doesn't work out. Have to rotate bottom. They lose their turret there, and they lose the Rift Herald as well. I thought Pepper was flying in to try and get a nice lightning strike with the Dieko for the kill. No, you want a Rift Herald instead.
This is more reminiscent of Game 2 than 1 between these teams. There's more fight in the system, but hello.
Fight in the mid lane, Icon being collapsed upon, but taken down nice and easy. Sia makes short work of the Snake Lady. Not the same highlight we saw against Snake as Mystic.
He's upset.
He's still got the blue suede shoes though, Rusty. Playing well on his first match back as Ezreal.
WE haven't got a match win yet. Mystic wants to make sure that they get it right now. They'll get the turret in the mid lane as well. The outer goes down. The gold grows. And the reason I say it's more reminiscent of Game 2 than 1, because WE, they've just got control of the bottom lane. And how quickly that bleeds over.
Yeah.
As that was not the Herald screaming, that was a WE fan.
Poor Chelly. I thought that was her for a second. Must have hurt to ram into that turret, but she's okay. Back to the Void. It is, however, a 2,500 gold lead for WE. So not as large as game number 2, but still a sizable lead for them to work with.
Yeah.
And we already mentioned that OMG's the team that they want to scale. They've got the Kai'Sa pick. They can sit back and relax, but WE are not allowing them to.
And
do
both
just
both teams are pretty content with late game, let's be real.
True.
You've got the Lulu to empower the Ezreal, and whilst Ezreal's not your conventional late game hyper carry, he pretty much is now. Just with the double tier build, his scaling's nuts.
Yeah.
He hits late game pretty well. His mid game's also super good from that build on top of everything. So
just does feel a little bit difficult to go up against 2 tanks. Still as Ezreal, but should be fine.
yeah, perhaps. Of course, that's where your Olaf and Shen compensates, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be threatening, and perhaps a tank has to deal with them, and a tank has to deal with them. It's crowd control needed for the Shen. So Chelly, it's one of those things, you know, like you watch it protect the Kaiser composition, everyone throws shields onto the Kaiser, but no one's directly protecting her. She ults into the back line or the front line and tries to be a hero at unexpected times.
That's so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. A prime example of what you can and can't do. Or not.
Surprise fights in the mid lane. Sia's going to be the target, but Stand United gets used. We even see Missing trying to collapse, but instantly locked down by 5. So trade of a couple of ultimates, but WE disengage.
Yeah, it's an engage and a disengage at the exact same time, but WE are next to the Dragon, so disregard Sheng. He was just trying to take out the Scuttle before they could get here.
Not going to happen. Scuttle goes over to Team WE, but OMG could be setting up for a fight here.
They don't have the engage, however, that they had before with the Ornn ultimate. They've got Morgana Binding, it's always a possibility. They've also got the Flash ultimate from Icon on the Cassiopeia.
They do have the teleport for Chelly as well. If a fight breaks out, he can teleport to that fight. Mystic cannot at the moment, but he does have the push advantage at the moment, so he can take down a turret if he does teleport to that fight. We've already seen WE disengage successfully once. They can probably do it again.
It looks like he just wants the one-on-one as well.
Probably. It's confident.
Yeah, absolutely. Mystic's really feeling himself.
The start of the lane looked good for OMG, but Mystic's turned it around. His pepper does go fairly low, but Ocean Dragon picked up nice and easy by WE. Their second Dragon and second Ocean at that.
Yeah, Lulu just around the corner, a bit difficult for a Trundle to get in. Did not have the flash until this exact moment, so he wouldn't have been able to get in, steal, and flash over the wall with the Blast Cone. Yeah, no chance really to be seen. That's 2 Ocean Drakes over to WE. That's a tier stacking Ezreal with 2 Ocean Drakes. That's a poke composition as well. That's really good disengage. If you don't kill them in that first couple of seconds of the fight, if you let them regenerate, the fight is over. Prolonged situations do not seem ideal for OMG right now.
I mean, it's pretty clear that this is where WE can start to press the attack almost. They've been aggressive for the entirety of this match, but when does OMG's Protect the Kaiser come online? Because there has to be a point where they can stand up to that poke that comes out from WE.
I do want to clarify this as well. I would never call it a Protect the Kaiser composition with what they've drafted. That's a Cassiopeia mid, a Trundle jungle, you know, there's no shields, there's no protection. I would say a lot of what this draft was actually WE denying the Protect the Kaiser composition. They picked these champions to ensure their opponents couldn't have them. And so now they're stuck with it. Their engage is weak, WE, but their disengage is phenomenal. Their shielding is fantastic because they've got the early game lead.
Oh no.
They're set to succeed. OMG have carries everywhere.
Please tell me that doesn't mean that we're going to see a similar thing from game 1 where whoever initiates the fight loses the fight.
I don't think so. Look, I hope not. But I do think a major difference here is that WE don't really need to. You know, they're going to sit back and they can poke you from range. Ezreal is a major point of difference between games 1 and 3 because it was a Lucian in game 1.
I mean, already a completed Muramana with a Trinity Force, but they're trying to class the 957 bottom lane. Even teleports being used.
No.
Hello, Sion, you're not meant to throw the ram off the rift, but doesn't matter. There's a snake in his boot. There's icons right behind him. 1 kill in the bottom lane. Chelly teleports to try and take this turret.
Not quite the ult he wanted, but it didn't matter too much in the end. The Q he threw down just prior was fantastic, so they get the kill. OMG will also get themselves the turret. They'll be able to equalize just a bit more, but look at WE on the opposite side.
They're trying to push for mid lane turret. Top lane's being pushed by Mystic as well. Chelly's going to stay in the bottom lane. He hasn't recalled for some time, still sitting on that Rage Blade. As we already mentioned, Mystic found a way to get back to base. 2 items complete, this turret's going to fall pretty quick.
Look at the difference between AD carries in items right now. Trinity Force is a very expensive item, and he's able to secure that one. It's only a 20 CS difference as well.
Chelly is, however, able to force the teleport out of 957. So even though there is a big CS lead for Mystic, and he is playing incredibly well on this Ezreal, does go back to base, picks up the Stinger, not the Nashor's Tooth just yet.
He's gone for the Greaves as well.
Make sure he gets extra attack speed. Couple more items, what Chelly will really need for these next fights, but a proactive move coming out from OMG doesn't get them too much, but at least make sure that WE don't take turrets and objectives for free.
We do have confirmation, though, with that Stinger that it'll be the AP Kaiser running around on the Rift. And then it's Icon on the Cassiopeia with an AP Kaiser as the major damage source. That's a lot of magic damage. And the opposing side can start stacking that magic resistance.
Especially with 3 champions that can build towards a tanky path. I mean, Pepper's already doing so. Should see 957 follow through. Missing doing the exact same. So not too much physical damage other than Dieko on this Trundle, who is going towards a tanky route as well.
And don't forget how good Adaptive Helm can be against the Cassiopeia also. You could go towards the Spirit Visage, but Adaptive Helm against consistent damage output of the exact same source. Cassiopeia has a pretty hard time against that one. Shen can build it. So it's absolutely a place you'd be looking at. You want a banner of command first and foremost for each respective team, and it seems like the jungle roles are going to be the ones building those.
First.
Top laners have been delegated as super tanks in this game.
I mean, 5's trying to pick one up as well. It should be another banner of command.
I wouldn't be opposed to a Zeke's from one of them. Trundle's actually... That's where it's a bit weird.
He should be the one that picks up Zeke's.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Trundle could have been the Zeke's builder. But now we're missing one, and Morgana does use ultimate decently early as a protection tool.
Now, Trundle can always throw his Subjugate down onto Olaf. I mean, you probably wouldn't see 5 try to throw the ultimate down to stop Pepper from running forward. He's just going to press Ragnarok, and we'll completely ignore that. But we have to keep track. No major team fights just yet. WE still hold on to a nice 3,000 gold lead, and they're in firm control of this mid game. OMG can scale. They've got a Kaiser looking for the damage items. W just have to keep up the pressure.
They are doing that, though. You know, the gold's slowly stretching. The vision control that they mounted for themselves just before, of course, the recall now was solely theirs around the Baron area. They're in absolute control of Summoner's Rift as they see fit.
A little bit of a teleport.
We're bottom lane.
We're bottom lane now. Seon's taking away a couple of wards. But it's also 20 minutes in the match, Rusty, so Baron is online. Especially with OMG's composition, they can take that down very quickly. You mentioned it during Champion Select. Single target damage from Icon as well as Chelly.
Yeah, if OMG ever get access to the Baron, they absolutely would smack it down fast. Oh my god, that's some damage.
Mystic, calm down.
Mystic's here to play, man.
Welcome back. His Swain game looked fantastic. His Ezreal game looking good so far. 40 CS ahead of Chelly.
I think he's going towards the Blade of the Rune King third here as well, so maximizing his damage output. The OG Ezreal build.
Yeah, who needs the tier? But OMG going to try and force a fight again. Ultimate gets thrown out by On. Looking for Mystic. Does get the knockup, but disconnect. Binding going to connect, but Kaiser's W did not. So OMG forced to retreat. The rest of W do look for another reinitiation, but they don't have all their members here.
Target selection felt a little bit off there from OMG. The Ornn ultimate does hit the Ezreal, you'll take that. The Binding also follows up afterwards, but the damage sources weren't there. The crowd control follow-up from the Trundle Pillar was on the wrong target also.
Seong interrupting the Shadow Dash, and now he's just being bounced around. Welcome to the bouncy castle. Double pillar strategy, going to keep 957 here. He's not hitting anyone, so that he can't take that turret damage. And Mystic says, I've got all the time in the world to get to this bottom lane and protect you. And Sia, what are you doing? Why are you taking that turret? Mystic's going to rejoin this fight. 957 dashes back in. Seong forced the flash away. Nobody else from OMG here just yet, and WE should be able to break a turret.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Xiang's playing out of his mind, but don't worry, when Mystic comes home.
Pepper going to be eaten up by Missing. 5 looking to try and lock him down. Sia going to disengage the rest of the team. OMG, they don't quite have the initiation tools at the moment. Mystic leading the charge, but there's an Ornn in the back line. It's Jacko! No! You hate to see it, but he flushes into it. Now Seong separated from the team. Chelly jumps back into the back lines, but Dodgefield takes all the damage. Exhaust is going to keep Chelly locked down, and Mystic says, not today, buddy. Continues chasing him down. Chelly going to try and dash away, but it's not going to be enough. WE win a team fight.
WE just go straight from bottom lane, win the team fight, hit the Baron up immediately. They should be able to get that objective, and there you go, OMG. They tried to make the plays, the teleports, the re-engage, catch WE if they could, but there was no chance.
Oh no, what's going on? Icon against Sia. Dashes away from the ultimate, but Saiyan United going to keep him alive. Brings one member away from Baron buff, but don't think it's going to be enough. Teleport straight back coming out of Sia.
Yeah, Sia's going to go over there. Extra damage, make sure Pepper survives as well. They'll get themselves the Baron. Bottom lane, both mid laners going at each other, but they had a secret plan ready for one another. The Seraph used by Cassiopeia at the same time as the Shen ultimate from 957. We watch this again. Nice dodge from Missing here on the Binding. That's what keeps him alive, and you can see the Ornn coming in. But at the same time, Mystic goes forwards, and Jericho, any other direction, but he picks the wrong angle. He does go down. It would have just been surviving, however, perhaps some extra Baron threat. As Chelly looks for the hero play, hits the W, but doesn't get the kill. And Mystic flashed over the wall, so he's got the dash forwards.
Even then, it seems like OMG, after that binding miss, needed to just be a little bit more patient. Seong had the flank. They kept him there. But moving forward, that aggressive means Mystic could do the same thing while waiting for the flank to take effect.
They were trying super hard to collapse with the Ornn at the same time, try and get all in at the exact moment. The Ornn crashed into them with crowd control. But then Mystic was like, well, the Ornn's behind us. I'm going to go towards where the Ornn isn't, and does a lot of damage.
He does. And we even saw why it was crucial for W to take away those key supports. I mean, Chelly got access to the back lines, but Dodge Field gets thrown down by Shen. Exhaust immediately followed up by missing. Means that dash to the back lines is nothing coming out from Chelly. He does have a couple of items, but you look across at Mystic. Blade of the Ruined King. He's got that blade thingy that reduces the health healing thing. I can't remember it anymore. Execution is calling. 3 items.
Yeah, nice.
And health reduction. Oh, health healing reduction.
Healing reduction, yeah, absolutely. A big thing against the Cassiopeia is healing. She's hitting you front on. And the Trundle ultimate. Of course, it'll heal a lot.
But WE have broken open this game. They're 9,000 gold ahead of OMG. They have not stopped with their pressure. They have not allowed OMG some breathing room to try and scale into the late game. And now they're attacking multiple parts of the map. 957 in the top lane. 2 members, C as well as Pepper in the bottom lane.
They've accelerated this game a lot, and a lot of that is actually by getting 3 Banner of Commands with the Baron buff. Once the Baron was secured, they completely opened the map wide open. This tower is just long gone, no chance to defend it. And suddenly WE with entryway to the bottom lane.
Hello.
Mystic.
Moving forward immediately, does get knocked up by Ornn, but missing keeps him alive. Spits him back out to safety, teleport into the back lines. Coming out from 957, cancels it. He's still top lane, dealing with that top lane in the turret. WE, Mystic jumps forward, forces a fight, but nothing happens.
And he could even have teleported top lane if he wanted to. Mystic secure themselves another turret, but they can save that for another day. They go mid lane, they get the Baron buff on that wave, and 957 continues to be a pest in top lane. It should be another turret that falls. Ooh. Pressure continues.
Banner of Command, cannon minion once again. Mystic, big shields being dished out by Seer, poking away at Seer. He's just too far ahead. Even the tanks taking so much damage from this Ezreal. Top laning is going to fall. WE have this mid lane inhibitor turret under siege. Difficult for them to deal with WE at the moment. Mid's going to fall. Icon's chasing 957, but draw your eyes to that mid lane again because Inhibitor is going to go down and WE are tearing apart OMG's base.
If OMG don't fight soon, they just lose the game. And Mystic's insane.
My god, the blue suede shoes jumping forward. Takes a binding here and there, but he's aggressive.
It's trust. He trusts in missing to catch him when he gets bound by the Morgana. Continues to happen. He can play forwards, he can deal the damage, and he can afford to do so. Quite simply because he knows that that Tahm Kench is there.
And with that aggression, knowing that his team is behind him, WE take down every single inhibitor inside of OMG's base. I mean, no Dragon to take yet, it's only an Elemental coming up next, but now OMG are stuck. They have to deal with double super minions. W gonna cash in the 12,000 gold lead that they've been able to pick up for themselves and march straight back towards the Nexus.
Yeah, 3 inhibitors now taken down. The ball is in their court. OMG have nothing left but desperation plays. We mentioned this in the second game, but they're really just relying on a mistake to be made from their opponents, and that's going to be a far-fetched consideration considering how good WE are playing.
Yeah. Clinical so far in games number 2 and number 3. Mystic jumping back in. 6 games of Gentle. 2 matches being played by Imp. But the 2 from Mystic have been such a big difference in how Team WE play. Especially with Pepper. Mission. And Pepper moving into the jungle. He's looked okay as well for this entire series. WE now going to try and put the nails in the coffin. I mean, we've got Knight's Vow being picked up by Olaf in the jungle. More Banner of Commands being picked up across the map. QSS even for missing, in case he gets locked down by crowd control and can't save Mystic.
And really, if you're WE, this game just ends with the super minions. You let them do all of the work, you let them direct their attention of OMG towards those minions, and you just stand behind them. And what that means is that the window of opportunity for OMG is the next 20 seconds. Realistically, bottom lane hasn't pushed yet.
That's where they got to put up the last stand, but Sion below half health. Chunked out by Mystic here. Now Jekko's his target. Icon in trouble as well.
God.
Forced back to the fountain. Jekko does a flash into it this time round. Binding's going to connect. On throws out the ultimate. 957 going deep into the back line. So is Mystic. Good knockouts, but they already lose one of their Nexus turrets. Icon below 300 hit points. Pepper wants the kill. Icon very low, gets back to the fountain. 957 trying to stay united,
but the
trying to
minions
find
are winning
access.
the game.
But you're right, Rusty. The minions are onto that Nexus turret. It's been taken down. OMG, too little, too late. WE, they find the comeback. They take game number 3 and their first win in the summer split.
WE fans are elated with the victory as well. You can hear the screams in support of the Mystic comes in. And you get to see something that was completely missing from this roster for their first 3 sets. It's not that they didn't have bad AD carries in or anything. Mystic is just replacing Imp, who is a very good AD. But you're seeing something else with this team, you know, the confidence. It feels like the swagger as a 5-man unit is there this time. And we also have to mention that it's Pepper, not Condi, coming in.
And standing up to the likes of Tioko as well. Yes, the solo kill came in game number 3. But he executed the strategy well for Team WE. Games 2 and 3, they had a play. And they made the play work for them. It was early game, it was about keeping control, all about the pressure they could exert in the first 20 minutes. Big contrast from what we saw in the first match when they were playing with him.
Absolutely. The difference between them is very noticeable. I feel like, you know, we can speak towards that AD difference, the jungle difference. Something clicked for Shie, I think is what you also have to note. He looked very good. He kept up with his mid laner in a kill lane against the Cassiopeia. He pushed him out early. He controlled it, worked with the jungler, and that's a big part of keeping him in the game.
Not just any mid laner either. It was Icon. This man is a highlight reel.
The hitman.
Well, he doesn't get his target today, so he escapes. WE pick up their first win as well. I mean, 2-1, 1-2, sorry, against Snake, 1-2 against FPX, only the 2-0 defeat against TOP. Finally, they close out a series. They find what works for them. Now they have to move into their next few matches and see if it's going to continue working for them or if they have other strategies available to work with.
Absolutely. Big match for WE coming up with their match of the week against EDG, but for right now, they can celebrate. They can relish in the fact that they got that victory. And the damage graph says it all.
Yeah. 25,000 damage for Mystic. Played out of his bloody mind in that match.
Yeah, I do think that, you know, we give it to Mystic, absolutely credit where it's due. We spoke towards every individual of WE, really. Even 957 had a good showing. Missing, very good set for himself. The one thing that we haven't really spoken towards that I think should be noted in this third game was the draft. They chose to take things away from their opponents.
Which was smart.
They saw the Kaiser, they didn't ban the Tahm Kench. They're like, okay, we'll pick the Tahm Kench, we'll pick the Lulu, and we'll just run it with an Ezreal and make it look better anyway.
I mean, we thought that there could be Zoe the first pick, so who knows, they could have had a strategy for that, but they definitely had one for the Kaiser. To break down that series and end the day, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, guys. And now it's time to actually get into it. WE took the win.
Finally.
Clement, we got to come back to your prediction. If I remember correctly, you were on the OMG horse, right?
No. I was actually on the W horse, but
Okay.
for different reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's actually get into what happened, because
Okay.
we were having a conversation during the draft. WE took red side. They showed their hand super early. Let's get to that mid-jungle duo. WE saved it for last with the Olaf in that game 3, whereas OMG, they got the chance to counterpick in that mid-jungle, and then we also saw the Trundle find first blood against that Olaf.
Yeah, so in terms of the drafting, I think this was a very WE type of draft. It goes super into the late game. They lose a lot of early laning power. You talk about the mid-jungle, they basically blind picked it. In the bot lane, the Morgana does have the early push as well. So I thought that was a very easy snowball scenario for OMG to really take advantage of. And they did. They did take advantage of that. But then the execution and the coordination started to pile in, and W then took the upper hand in terms of the drafting situation. And just to go back on the drafting a little bit, like, this kind of draft is basically saying we're gonna give up every scuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the first
we're
two
gonna
games,
sit back and scale until we have 2 items. Please don't fight us.
we were looking at the first 2 games. It was like, okay, so the core difference in these first 2 games was actually mid jungle pressure being able to seep over to the side lanes. But this time it was like W was like, nah, we'll just give that up. It's fine. And
Which,
to the credit, was fine.
Yeah, it harkens back to the old, we're going to sit to late game, we're going to sit back and scale to 35 minutes, take a late game team fight, and then the game. You can't do that in a snowball meta, in an 8-11 meta.
Probably not. Probably you can still do it against OMG. But
well, as we just learned, right? Because
Yeah.
as we said, Jekko was able to track down Pepper in the jungle, kill him for first blood, and then bully him away. And he thought, great, I got the first blood, I got the kill. I guess we win the game now. But then there was still another rest of the game to actually play.
Yeah.
And he ended up, I think, down 20 CS at
he
15
was down
minutes.
20 CS very early on, and we do have to talk about the individual performances from W. I think two major things that happened in the early game was the first back from Mystic after taking his Sheen was able to instantly push Kaisa out of the lane. That was a big one. And of course, early on, we saw Xie doing the same thing in his own lane against Icon. So really flipping a lot of these expectations for some of the matchups and playing them much better than expected. The other point was OMG was very uncoordinated.
Yeah.
The two main things about it was the roam from 5 towards the Rift Herald. So he roamed up top, did not find a kill on Xie, went back to bottom, and in that process, OMG lost both the Herald and lost their bot lane.
Yeah.
Which was a massive snowball onto WE's side, and you could see that uncoordinated nature of OMG again
Yeah.
when Cassiopeia overstepped, got taken by surprise by Tom Kench coming from the bottom lane, which should have been pretty obvious. And then you see it again in the mid lane where you see Xiang going for one target with the Orange Horn, and then everyone following up on the other target with the Ezreal. So there's a lot of weird things going on in OMG, and for this squad, you can kind of tell the shot calling really isn't there.
Yeah, and again, this was what got WE out of that early game and propelled them into the mid game with an advantage in a team composition that wanted to scale until their 2-3 item break points, which is not a position you want to find yourself in when your communication is already suffering in front of the hometown venue.
Yeah.
Of course, though, then that led to the fight down in the bottom lane, which started off with, I believe it was just 957 overextending under a turret, staying just a little bit too long.
There were a lot of mistakes made in that fight.
And then it just devolved into chaos, but somehow WE were able to find a 5v5 team fight out of that. After the turret goes down, here we can see OMG group up. Xiang teleports in from behind.
Yeah, and the big thing here is that OMG isn't able to follow up on WE. In fact, right here, 5 misses a very easy to hit Morgana Dark Binding, and of course you see Jekko flashing back straight forward. Xiang still does not have the ultimate here, and going in with Chelly right there, he did not have his 2 items completed, couldn't get the damage off. They were missing 2 crucial flashes in that team fight. OMG not able to capitalize it, W run away with it on the Baron. And of course, man of the match does go back to Mystic, who's finally coming back into the roster. 2 straight stellar performances here, 52.8 damage here. Oh my.
Yeah, that's real big. And I think this is actually something that we should talk about. Mystic making his return for WE. It looks like a completely different team. Gentle obviously had good performances. Imp has kind of been struggling a little bit with the team, but something about Mystic, Xie, and 957 just seems to gel for the 3. He's playing better in lane. They're able to maneuver better as a team. They're transitioning into team fights more successfully, which has been their weakness with the other AD carries. Is this just an experience thing for Mystic? Does he have some intangible that he's bringing in?
I do think there's intangible. If you think about the 2 longest duos in the LPL, it is actually Xie and Mystic. Previous in the spring split, they played together for a stretch of something like 270 games. So they were the
only other
longest
duo
standing.
before that was Imp and PYL, which was broken in spring split.
I would say 2015, but but yeah, to get back to your point, I think Mystic himself is a much stronger in terms of individual skill. If you think about Gentile, if you think about Imp, while they certainly didn't put up bad performances, I do think Mystic is on another level. 2017, he was hands down the best marksman of the entire league.
Yeah.
Having him come back in form after a disappointing spring split is a very welcoming sight for Xian and all of WE fans.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best Xayah in the world going into Worlds and was able to use that champion to carry his team all the way to semifinals. But now we're just looking at getting into playoffs right now because
they need 5th place.
WE, they need 5th place. As you said, they are now 1 and 3 in the standings, tied with OMG. Finally starting to take some wins, but it's still going to be a long road to climb.
Yeah, just to give everyone a clarification. WE did drop out of Spring Split in 6th place, and in our current structure, you do need to hit 5th place at the very least to go into the regional qualifiers.
Yeah.
They can't count on any points from Spring, so they're going to have to count on for Summer. They do need to step up, and I think this is a good direction to gel in, because if you look at those late game team fights, this is what they've been missing for quite a while. They know how to play around a big hyper carry. They know how to protect a hyper carry, and with Mystic there, I think they're more confident and trusting in his abilities and laying back and letting him do the damage.
Yeah, it certainly worked out for them. Of course, we'll have to see if that continues for Team WE. They're playing again later this week in our match of the week when WE take on Edward Gaming this Sunday.
Oh, wow. That's a Western Conference heavyweight right there. Of course, WE still stepping up into form, and EDG, they've been performing off the charts. And we have to remember, every single time that EDG has walked into a summer finals, they have walked away as the championships for the LPL. So summertime is EDG time.
Yeah, well, the question is, can EDG continue that momentum as they move forward? Because again, this was not the team that went to MSI. This was the team that dropped and finally gave the season split to Uzi and RNG. So hey, we'll have to see if WE can recover by then. Of course, we talked a little bit about where the standings are going to shake out after today's games. WE with their win start to climb up just a bit. They're still at the bottom, tied with OMG, but hey, it's better than 0 and 4. And we take those.
Definitely better. Western Conference is actually shaping up to be very interesting here. We have Rogue Warriors still being the undefeated team. EDG still looking very killer with their global compositions. And of Snake coming out with the interesting strategies. So, you know, overall, Western Conference has given us a lot of surprises and a lot of good games. So,
yeah, it's certainly given us a lot of really fun stuff to see. Again, we've got Rift Rivals coming up in just a few weeks. That's going to be happening in Dalian, China. You can find your tickets online. I'm sure we've all
already
got
on
posts
sale
on it.
right now.
Yeah, on our social media. Hey, that's SOFM popping up. He will not be there, tragically. Maybe he's going to be there.
Wow,
as a
he's
viewer.
Complaining right there. He's like, how can you forget about me? But
yeah, bit of a tragedy. Again, you can find those tickets online on the link below, and we're super excited to see how China is going to perform there, because now Uzi's finally won Spring Split. He's finally got the MSI Champion Award, and now we're going to see if China can prove once again that we are the best region in the world. We've heard from so many players. They think that China is the best. We've actually got a longer game time than Korea right now, which you have been saying.
The world is tipsy-turvy right now, because we've been trying a lot of things, and Korea has a lot of new blood, like Griffin or something, that where they really do push the advantage in the tempo of the game. So it's going to be really interesting, because we're going to be seeing kind of the old version of LCK rather than new version. Going against the old guard, I think the LPL does have a very sizable advantage, especially in our team fight, so I really can't wait for that.
Yeah, we're going to love to see how all that chaos plays out. Of course, for tomorrow's matches, the LPL is coming back at you once again. We've got LGD versus Vici in our first set. That's going to start off at 2 p.m. China Standard Time. Just after that, we've got Suning taking on Jingdong. That starts at 5 p.m. China Standard Time. And finally, in our last game Sunday, Royal Never Give Up taking on Billy at 7 p.m.
Man, this day is stacked, because LGD Vici, they're still looking for their first win. Suning versus Jingdong, these are the e-commerce wars, the two best new teams in the East. Of course, RNG versus Billy Gaming. This was the Demacia Cup Finals. So tomorrow's going to be a massive day. I hope you all tune in to catch some of Uzi.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see whether or not they could close out and continue steamrolling their dominance after the MSI win. But for the broadcast, that's going to do it for us. On behalf of myself, Clement, the casters, and the whole production crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more LPL action.